This video is for students who were absent on the day that we did the practice for using the dial calipers. So you know that one of the things that you will be required to do is to demonstrate that you can use the dial calipers, and without being here on that day, that's very difficult to make up. And so I'm recording this video as a demonstration for you so that you can see how it's done. And what I would strongly recommend is that at some point before you take the quiz on using them, that you actually handle the calipers yourselves so that you're doing more than just watching me do this. So the first thing that you need to do when you pick up the calipers is you want to do something called zeroing the calipers. So when the calipers are completely closed, they should read 0. And I was using this pair earlier today, and so I have it zeroed and it has not gotten unzeroed, so to speak. Now to zero, what you would do is this knob at the bottom, you would loosen that slightly, and that's going to release this dial to be able to turn. So if you close the calipers and the dial is not on 0, what you would do is loosen this up and then turn the dial until the needle is on 0, and then you would turn this knob to tighten it back up. Okay, and if your calipers are good, you should be able to wheel them open and wheel them closed, and they should be back on the 0. This knob up here is for locking the calipers in place. So most of the time this knob is going to be a little bit loose. That's what allows you to slide back and forth. But if you took a measurement and you wanted to lock the calipers into place, you would turn that knob and tighten it, and what that does is it locks this in place, and then you would loosen it just a little bit so that you can slide the calipers back and forth. Okay, so there are 4 different kinds of measurements that calipers will take, and we'll go through them from the most obvious to the least obvious. In class, we were working with this brick. It's like a knockoff Lego, but it does the job. And we were measuring, I like it because we can do all 4 measurements on a Lego brick, and it works. So the first kind of measurement is what's called an outside measurement. So to do that, we're going to use this part of the calipers down here, okay? And you open them wide enough so that you can clamp down on the outside of whatever it is you want to measure. So in this case, it would be the brick. And so I'll hold the brick there and I'll slowly close it until the calipers clamp around it. You would use this spot in the middle and then read the value off of that. So we'll get a little bit of practice with the reading here as well. The top number there, the one side's like floating a little bit high, so you can see a 0 here. Over here there's a 3 and then a 4. Those are your inches. And then the smaller numbers, I guess they're not smaller, but maybe they're a little bit smaller. Written a little bit lower are your tenths of an inch. Now what's a little bit tricky about this is that the line that goes with the number is to the right of the number. So this line here that you're seeing, that goes with the 6, not with the 7. Okay, so you've got to clear that line in order for it to be the 6. So the reading on this would be 0.6 because it's a tenth of an inch. And then you kick over to the dial and you look at where the dial is. So on this one, the dial appears to be at about 27. So there's 20, there's 25, 26, and 27, okay? And it honestly doesn't look like it's past the 27. Looking at it on my computer screen here, it really looks like it is on the 27 exactly. And so to write the measurement for that, we would say 0.627, and then you would need to put a 0 on the end, indicating that yes, you believe the calipers are exactly on the 27. Okay, not a little bit before, a little bit after, anything like that. So the width of that Lego brick, at least as measured right now, I'm doing this after school, is 0.627 inches. So there's to also know it is in inches. Earlier today, I did this 3 times earlier today. I'm looking at one of the other values. I got 0.6251, 0.6263. So yeah, and the other one is flipped over on the other side of a whiteboard, so I can't see it. But when you think about this, this is really, really, really small. This 7 here would be if you took an inch. So if you took let me slide that now, took an inch, okay, and divided it into 1,000 smaller segments. We couldn't even see segments that small. Okay, this is just 10. So like if you divide each one of these into like 10 more, and then each one of those, okay, you get the idea. So you're going to see some variation. In fact, I told students in class today, if you're getting all the same numbers as me, I don't think you did this, because there's variation. This is the same set of calipers that I used all day, and I'm getting a slightly different measure each time. And that's due to natural variation in the bricks, as well as the sensitivity of the calipers. So that's the first kind of measurement. We would call that an outside measurement. It's like an outside width because you're clamping down on the outside. The second kind of measurement, we use this part of the calipers out here. And you might notice that on the bottom part, you've got your flat edges on the inside, and that's so that you can clamp down on something from the outside. If you look at this, you'll notice that the flat edges are actually facing out, and that will allow you to clamp down on something from the inside. So the way it works is that you would take the calipers, you would close them up, put them into whatever it is you wanted to measure, and then slowly open the calipers. I'm going to get hung up on the little thing in there. There we go. Open the calipers until they hit the inside. Okay, like so. And so that's why this is an inside measurement. So we'd be measuring the inside. Now, for consistency with what I did in class, at least the day that I'm recording this, I actually did this on the width. Okay, and you want to be a little bit careful. Somebody pointed out that there are these little notches. So if you hit one of those notches, it's going to alter your measurement. You also need to work around the peg in there. Okay, so the little hole in there. So you want them like open a little bit so that they don't catch on that, and then we would slowly open them up until they hit the inside. And you want to watch, make sure that you don't like tilt them, like so you're not going sideways, because obviously that will affect your measurement. That would be user error if that happens. So I'll go and do this one more time, clamping in from the inside. And then we'll take a look at it, and we'll go over the reading of it again. So this one is 0.5. Okay, so 0.5. And that line there is the line for the 5. So that means we've cleared the 5. So 0.5. And then we come over and we look at the dial. And the dial looks like it's about halfway between 35 and 36. So that's, we've got, here's a 30, and then the next long one here is 35, and it really looks just about in the middle to me. Most of them don't. Like, they don't look like they're just in the middle. So when we go to write that measurement, we would say 0.5, 35, and then it looks like it's about halfway between the 35 and the 36, and so I'll put 5 for like halfway, and that would be our inside measurement. So we have outside and inside. And what I told students in class today was that the goal of this activity is to practice using the calipers. It's some of the calipers are better than others, so some of them zero well, some of them like you zero them and then they're not zeroed. So we'll make sure for the quiz that everybody has good, well-functioning calipers. But the point of this is to learn how to use them. And so again, I strongly recommend that if you were absent, that at some point you just ask me for a pair of calipers in class, and you grab some stuff and you just practice with them and practice reading it before you take the quiz. The third kind of measurement is measured down here at the end. So you'll notice that we actually have a metal bar that extends the length of the calipers, and when we're busy focusing on this at this end, down at the other end you will see that we have like a metal prong coming out, and that is for doing what is called a depth measurement. So the way that works, I'll see if I can model it on something a little bit bigger, is you would open up the calipers, okay, and place the calipers into whatever you wanted to measure the depth of. And this is very awkward here. And then, yeah, and it's also hollow, so not the most well thought through thing. And then you would slowly close the calipers until the edge comes to rest on the edge of whatever you're measuring the depth of. So, okay, so I think I got that. So let me see if I can get my hand out of the way. Move it over there. And so the edge of that is, okay, that's terrible. I'll demonstrate with the brick. Okay, so I want to measure the depth of the brick. Now, there are little notches in there, and it looks on my computer screen that you can see them, like little notches on the inside, like little divots, like, yeah, in there. And if the tip of the caliper like goes into the divot, you're going to get a slightly different measurement than if it doesn't. But what we would do, let me close this up a little bit. Okay, I don't need it quite that deep. Is we're going to stick this in like so. Okay, I'm going to kind of feel around, and earlier today I tried to get it to fall into the divot, so fall into the divot. And then I'm going to slowly close it until the edge comes to like smack on top of the edge there of the brick. So that happens. So the edge of the caliper hits on the edge of the brick. And then now I have my depth. Okay, so you, again, I'll do that one more time. You extend it a little bit too deep. Put your calipers into whatever it is you want to measure the depth of. And then that time I just slid it down because it's a little bit loose. And that gives me my measurement. So you're sliding it down till the edge of the caliper hits on the edge of whatever you wanted to measure. And let's turn this around. Okay, and oh, this is an interesting one. This happened earlier today and then not again. So this is like interesting. If you look at this, you can see that the line for the 4 is just barely beginning to peek out. And this might raise the question, like, is the line cleared? Like, is that 4 point something or is it 3.99 something? And to figure that out when it's really, really close, you would look at the dial. And the dial here looks like it's just a tiny bit past the 5, just a tiny bit past the 5. So that tells me that I actually did clear the line for the 4. So as you're going around, you've got like 3, and it's like 3.5, 3.6, 3.7, 3.8, 3.9. And then once you come up here, now you've cleared the 4. So if you're not sure, did it clear that 1/10 of a line for the 4, you would look up here. So this appears to be 0.4, and then that looks to me like, I mean, it's very, very close to the line, but that the needle might be a tiny bit past the line. So I would record that as 0.4, and then it's a 5, so it's 0.5. And then it looks like it's a tiny bit past. I'll put a 1 there. Okay, and that is the depth of my brick. Now, just for comparison, okay, if I close that out a little bit, so let's say it's like right here, okay, and you're looking at it and you're like, man, I can't, the glare on that is driving me crazy. I can't tell if that's cleared the line for the 4, it's like it's super close to the line. You would look up here at the dial and you can tell that it's just shy of making it to the line. So that would be 3.9, it would be 0.39797 maybe, and then a little bit 97.1. So that's a good thing to note when you're reading it. If you see this, like, and it clears it, like that's the line for the 4, not the line for the 5. Okay, that's a common mistake. All right, last kind of measurement that you do is the least obvious measurement. So we've got the outside, we've got the inside, we've got the depth measurement, and then to get the other one, we actually flip the calipers over. And I want you to notice how the outside here is flat. That is so that you can rest this on a flat surface. And you'll notice that this right here is also flat. Notice that it is not flush, okay? So you actually have a difference here. This is what we use for a step measurement. And the idea is that you rest this on a flat surface, and then you will slowly close down the other side until you are able to measure the step. We are going to measure the height of one of the studs. So you can see the studs poke up from the brick there. We would like to accurately measure the height of one of those studs. Not something we're going to do very well with a ruler, if we can do it with a ruler at all. Because most rulers have a little bit of a margin on the end of them, and we wouldn't be able to line it up. So the way this would work is I'll open it past what I think the height is, and then you can't quite fit this in between. Like, that would be nice, but it doesn't quite fit. So we need to rest this on the edge of the brick. I think I can do this one sideways. Okay, rest that right on the edge of the brick, as flat as I can get it, and then I slowly close down the top of the caliper till it rests on top of the stud. And there's my height right there. Okay, you can look at that. See, yeah, that looks about right. And we've measured that. I'll do it one more time for clarity. So resting that on the edge, and then closing it in so that it rests on top of the stud. And then we have our measurement. Flip it over to get a reading. So this is 0 point, and it has not cleared the line for the 1 at all. Like, we are not cleared. So that's 0.0. And then we need to look at the dial. And the dial appears to be 71, 72, not quite to the 73. Okay, so there's 70, 71, 72, and it's just not quite to the 73. So when I go to record this, this is 0.072. Okay, so I know it looks like it's really close to the 73, but it's not quite to the 73. But it's very close. I'm going to say estimate that last digit at maybe an 8. Okay, so it's like maybe 0.8 of the way there. And that is the height of the stud. All right, so those are the 4 measurements. So in this video, we went over how to zero the calipers. We went over how to do an outside measurement, an inside measurement, a depth measurement, and a height or a step measurement there. And we also did some pretty intense review on how to read the calipers. So I'm pretty happy with this video. You probably think it's too long, but that's a shame. And what I strongly recommend doing if you missed this lesson is that you grab the calipers and you practice. You actually grab the calipers and you practice holding it, reading it, and so forth. If you'd like to write down these measurements and practice on a little brick so that you have an idea of what measurement you should be getting, that would be totally fine. Just let me know that you want to do that. Okay, as always, you know where to find me if you have questions.